Well, hey there and hello, and welcome to the Kitchen of the Dollhouse. And what are we cooking up today? Well, another reading of The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and Joost Elvers for August 28th, the day of language. That's right. Here at the top of the page is a visual representation of sorts for the day of language. What do we have? A bird with a message. That's right. I don't know what kind of bird specifically. It's kind of a dark image, so one might think a crow, but it's got some white around the eye. Maybe a magpie. But those don't deliver messages, do they? It's usually the pigeon. Here nor there, who's to say? What's more important is that we drill down on the fact that it's your birthday today. But anyway, hey, is it August 28th and it's your birthday? Well, if it is, I just want to say happy birthday. And if this video finds you long or perhaps shortly after that day has already come and gone, well, hope you had a happy birthday. And for everyone else who's just joining us to celebrate August 28th person's birthday, or just out of curiosity, I want to say hello and welcome and hope you enjoy yourself. In any event, before we dive in with the birthday reading direct, let's roll some dice. That's right, this is the DykASSt birthday cast, so we gotta live up to the namesake, right? Also, more importantly, for synchronicity's sake. That's right, we rolled us a 2 and a 6 for an 8. That's right, 2 and a 6 for an 8. Now, what is synchronicity, you might be wondering? Well, it's just you going out into the world and giving the universe an opportunity to show you it's with you on your path. And you use these numbers to do that. So you just go out and you start looking for the numbers. And when you see them, any kind of valuation of as much, right? You chase after them, all right? So maybe you see the number 8 bus. I like to use the bus analogy a lot because it makes a lot of sense. You jump on the bus, right? And then you maybe ride it till number 6 stop. Or you see somebody that gets on there and their bag has a big number 8 on it, right? Well, hey, there's our next sign, right? And so when they get off, you follow them for a spell, or maybe you just start looking for another sign because they're what brought you off the bus, right? It's just little things like this. And then after a while, they might start to take on a theme. What theme that is, I don't know. It could be anything. Maybe you just keep seeing dogs, or and then maybe as you're walking, you see an address with an 8 on it, and it's a dog shop. It's just little things like that. The universe lining things up for you, taking on that synchronicity. And you go into that dog shop and you talk to someone behind the counter and they ask you what you're looking for and you say, I don't know, I'm just here on account of synchronicity. They go, what is that? And well, you show them this video perhaps. And then, you know what? Maybe they close up shop, take some of the dogs out with you on the walk. Who's to say? You might not necessarily get anything tangible out of the experience. Might not change your life, but it's the little things. Let you know the universe is with you, and it's there with you on your path there. So in any event, I think you get the idea. Let's get to your birthday read, all right? Your month is August, your day the 28th. Your sign is 4 to 6 degrees Virgo, of the Virgo I period specifically. And your quality and elements is mutable earth. All right, August 28th, the day of language. Those born on August 28th are masters at the use of language. And normally the word language refers to the use of the written and spoken word. And indeed, many people born on this day are good enough at that. But in a larger sense, and the meaning intended here is the language of craft, a kind of technical facility, all right? And people born this day who are less verbally oriented usually master the technical aspects of what they do in their profession down to the last detail. In addition, August 28th people are convincing. They know how to get others to think about what they say, admire what they do, and perhaps agree with them. August 28th people generally make good debaters. And not only are they adept at reasoning, but at manipulating concepts as well. And their arguments may be compared to a watertight system which allows for few contradictions. And those born on this day, however, usually avoid high-flown language or technique for its own sake. They consider technical mastery useless unless it is put in service of a cause or idea they deem worthy. Thus, using their rhetorical skills to clarify their thoughts and perhaps win over others to their point of view is generally what August 28 people have in mind. August 28 people can quietly overwhelm others with their persuasiveness of their knowledge and ideas, which are deep and wide-ranging. They can also readily back up what they say with fistfuls of facts. Too often, however, they are so convinced of the rightness of what they are doing that they misjudge their audience and its needs and desires. Thus, family, friends, and the general public may agree with an August 28 person at the time of a discussion, only to change their minds later, or worse yet, just forget about the matter entirely. And those born on August 28 who have not discovered or developed their intellectual powers, perhaps due to upbringing or premature choice of career, can become aware of their talents for words and ideas through reading or school study. And many born on this day have an aptitude for foreign languages as well. It is only natural that family and friends come to an August 28th person for advice, as those born on this day often make excellent counselors, clergymen, social workers, politicians, and the like, and therefore an August 28th person's social, family, or civic responsibility is very high, and great care must be taken in bringing influential opinions to bear on the problems of others. On the other hand, unscrupulous individuals born on this day make excellent con artists, liars, and cheats, and may be equally persuasive in a destructive way. It is important that August 28 people apply their advice to themselves as well as others. They must beware of becoming puritanical, however, and condemning certain forms of enjoyment and satisfaction due to a rigid and unaccepting belief system. And August 28th people should cultivate flexibility and a regard for the feelings of others. Well, all right, quite the breakdown today, I will say. They almost used the entire page. And so did I in the notes. I usually use one, but I used two. All right, so let's dive in, shall we? Masters of language. Here at first, I thought that meant polyglots, those folks that just learn a myriad of languages, and I was pretty myopic about as much. So the idea of mastery, of not just the spoken word, but the written and its extension into rhetoric. And for airtight arguments, it didn't come to my mind at all right? But what they've outlined here is so much more interesting and an all-encompassing idea. And that said, I'm not entirely sure what language of craft is, even after completing the read. I mean, it's one thing to be technically proficient and even a master, but to take mastery to yet an even more advanced tier, to an intrinsic language, this seems a little loosely applied. Unnecessary even, because mastery is mastery, right? But I think I get their meaning. But mastery just seems to do the same thing. That said, I do see the value in pragmatic cash value approach to viewing mastery as fruitless, unless it's in service of a cause or an idea. So maybe that is what they're getting at. But it's not my birthday, is it? So maybe I'm not the one that's meant to understand, all right? And maybe to you it's just as clear as crystal. So let's move on, all right? However, such a focused dynamic does seem to speak to the hyper-focused traits that belong to those born over the course of the past few days and weeks. So perhaps we're just continuing with that theme, all right? But back to you, a persuasive sort who backs up their claims and their knowledge with fistfuls of facts and sources. I can't recall where I get most of my so-called knowledge and wisdom, right? So that trait alone speaks volumes, okay? If you can pull your facts and everything just out of and directly reference where you got them, I mean, that's huge. It's like it's almost a fictional type thing when you see people reciting poetry and is that Robert? No, that's Robert Frost. And I always think that's totally fake. There's nobody that can do that, but apparently there are. Maybe you're one of them. All right, so that's that alone I'm sorry, that alone. In that regard, let's move on. I say, I'm glad that they mentioned taking into account one's audience with such things, which ironically I'm probably not doing with the notes. But I say, forget losing their attention and forgetting what was discussed as an issue to be concerned about. I say consider who you're giving your precious time to when considering who you're talking to, all right? I know I certainly wouldn't want to waste as much, because time is a precious commodity. Though I suppose the higher evolved may just consider it a practice of a reaffirmation of their thoughts and the information, because we got to get those synapses firing, right? So you retreading over things that you know might just be good practice, even if the person you're talking to is just going to dismiss all of it, right? But I think the value of the idea still remains. Your time is best spent with those who listen and get something from what you have to share, and who might contribute something back. But yes, I agree to be careful in counseling situations, all right? So maybe drill down on learning the so-called intrinsic language, or that higher tier of mastery, in reading your subject, reading your audience, okay? You both stand to benefit, I reckon. I appreciate that they mentioned practicing what you preach as well, okay? Hopefully for obvious reasons. But beware those puritanical tendencies, all right? Expecting folks to adopt your views to the extent that you push them. Well, that probably isn't going to work out well for anyone concerned, right? And it also breeds resentment in a lot of cases. But I like that they brought that up, because I wouldn't have thought about somebody who's so passionate about their view that they just get to the point where they're pushing it home on folks. So I'm glad they brought that up. But in any event, hey, let's dive back in to the read with your numbers and your planets. All right. Enough of my long-winded notes, right? Those born on the 28th of the month are ruled by the number 1, as 2 plus 8 equals 10, and 1 plus 0 equals 1. And by the sun, all right? And those ruled by the number 1 like to be first, are opinionated, and eager to rise to the top. The sun symbolizes strong creative energy and fire, which should be kept flowing steadily rather than allowed to sporadically flare out of control. And because August 28 people already tend to be strong, dominant types, the combined influence of the Sun and Mercury, which is Virgo's ruler, can lead to those born on this day being overcome by their power drives, and as mentioned above, drowning everyone around them in energy of their thoughts and opinions. All right, that's right. You don't want to overpower folks with your radiant energy. What I say about your numbers and your planets. All right, the number 1 and the sun. The first birthday with a sun rulership since transitioning out of Leo, for that dynamic realization and effect on your personality. And I know that might not make any sense, but just you go back a couple days, all right? Or go back into the book if you have it. It's my theory that these very unique and strong personalities come down to the sun's influence. It's kind of like a common denominator. And just you go back and listen to some of those videos that day, you'll see these really interesting dynamics, all right? But that said, don't flare out or burn out of control, all right? Radiation is deadly either way, so keep it under control. Oh no, but under control, it's a constant source of power, all right? Slow and easy, maintain that even keel. For a mixed metaphor there, all right. Let's move on to your tarot. One of the more eclectic metaphysical ideologies, at least in my mind, maybe not to you, but it's fun, it's in the book, so let's see what they have to say. The first card of the major arcana is the Magician, who symbolizes intellect, communication, information, as well as magic. You guessed it. Over his head is an infinity symbol, which in some tarot decks takes the form of a hat, and in others, a halo. Many interpretations may be drawn, one of which is that the Magician recognizes the cyclical and unending nature of life, and is empowered by this understanding. The positive traits suggested by this first card include diplomatic skill and shrewdness, but negatively, lack of scruples and opportunism. That's right, those con men, liars, and cheats they mentioned. The choice rests with the August 28 person whether to use his or her influential qualities for moral or immoral ends. That's right. You want to have some fun, don't you? All right. Hey, what do I have to say about your tarot? Let's dive in. The Magician for intellect, communication, and magic. All right. And represents an understanding of the nature of things, which seems to dovetail in nicely with this language of trade or craft trait that they mentioned in the breakdown. But again, diplomacy is mentioned, so don't browbeat folks with your abilities or even showboat, all right? You know how to use your rhetoric, so get in there, all right? But be humble about it, yeah? Nobody likes a showboat. Or at least they like to watch them maybe from afar, but they don't want to buy in with all their ideas now, do they? Because they can see what's going on there if you stand far enough back. Yeah, so be humble about it. All right, let's dive in with your health. Those born on August 28th generally have many theories about health. For this reason, they can be hard to advise or direct, but often serve as a foundation of knowledge for family and for friends. If August 28 people take an interest in food and its preparation, those who live with them will reap the benefits, since cooking and food choices are generally based on fundamental and well-founded tenets of nutrition. Long walks are strongly recommended for those born on this day, particularly due to the well-known connection between rumination and locomotion. Regular sensual and sexual enjoyment will do August 28 people a world of good. And check puritanical tendencies. Ooh, they drilled down on it again, didn't they? All right, what do I have to say about your health? Many theories about health, and therefore you're hard to advise. Makes sense, but here, people thought fat was bad before it was discovered that was a scheme perpetrated by Big Sugar. So, just be open to alternate theories sometimes, all right? You might just be surprised, right? The same way it was a surprise that Big Sugar was up to some rather bitter schemes, all right? Rumination and locomotion for the walking. All right, hey, that's the first time it's been written that way for the walking suggestion, so perhaps take note of it if you don't already make use of it. Same with the second mention of being puritanical. That's right. Ooh, you're gonna get after people, right? Put your ideas into them. All right, then, hey, let's move on with some advice, as if you haven't got enough of it already. Don't always be so sure that your answer is the right one. Learn to listen to other points of view and avoid drowning those around you in endless facts and examples while missing the big picture. Stay on the straight and the true path. Well, all right, that's pretty quick advice. It was pretty good, I would say. What we got? Here we go. Don't be so sure about yourself, all right? Or no, sure about your answer being the right one. But you got to be sure about yourself, right? I was totally off point there. But you don't want to burn so hot that no one wants to get near the fire. Am I right? That's right. You want to bring people in. The fire and its alpha and beta waves or whatever it is to give you that nice, calm, easy feeling. But if it's too hot, you're going to get burned. So anyway, you understand how fire works, I assume. And hearing folks drone on is tedious with your facts and figures, right? And I have to consider this myself. So don't think I'm just preaching from the pulpit here. I've bored people to tears, but try to read the room is what I say. I think we drilled down on that before. And here's the thing. People are oftentimes polite, but they generally don't want every detail. And I know I often don't when on the receiving end. So I have to try to be mindful of the fact that people might not want to be listening to what I have to say. Like just right now, right? Okay. Hey, let's dive in with your meditation. Okay? Yeah, let's take the energy down just a hair and dive in with your meditation. Here we go. Wittgenstein's opening sentence, "The world is everything which is the case," serves as a beginning. Let's do that once again because it was a little bit loaded. Wittgenstein's opening sentence, "The world is everything which is the case," serves as a beginning. And you know what's interesting about this is as I wrote earlier, that I didn't understand the language as an intrinsic thing kind of concept, but Wittgenstein was a philosopher who was the philosopher of language, and he really drilled down on the universal application of language as, well, it's a pretty loaded concept, and I'm not sure even I understand. But the fact that they mentioned Wittgenstein, it kind of painted a very picture to me, and I understood this in a much more, convincing way. There was more merit to the idea that of language as a higher tier than mastery, I think is what I'm trying to say. So a brownie points to old Gary Goldschneider and Just Elfers for mentioning Wittgenstein. That's what I'm trying to say. In any event, that was your meditation. I'm not going to try to break it down with you. I just wanted to add in that little note about Wittgenstein. So let's dive in with your strengths and your weaknesses. I know it's getting long, folks, but we're almost there. Okay. Your strengths: you're convincing, you're articulate, and you're intellectual. That's right. Maybe you don't care that it's long, right? It's a strength of yours to sit through this kind of stuff, especially if you're learning about yourself. All right. Your weaknesses: you're inflexible, puritanical, you've heard that one, and unaccepting. All right. Hey, everybody's got some strengths and some weaknesses. But let's dive in with those born on this day. I've seen it more recently. A lot of people that I've met out in the world, they don't know exactly what they want to do with their lives. Or like I ask them what they do, they tell me, and I ask them if they enjoy it, and they don't. Or they might put on a face to say they do, but they don't. And the problem being, a lot of folks, like as the reading mentioned, they get right into college, right? And then right into a career for some of that security, but they don't find their passion. Their true calling, what they get out of bed in the morning ready and hungry to do. And so my idea was to frame those born on this day, to not only show who shares your company and what lottery you drew with other folks born on this day, but to see what they did and maybe frame it in the sense of, like, if you're not happy with what you're doing, maybe you can take some inspiration from what they chose to do. Any event, let's see who was born on this day. We have Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, who was a German poet and novelist, and he wrote The Sorrows of Young Werther and was a playwright of Faust. Also a philosopher, lawyer, and a biologist. How about that for language, right? Of the Renaissance man kind of language. A true master, it sounds like. All right, who else we have? We have James Wong Howe, was a cinematographer. We have Ingrid Bergman, Swedish film actress. Donald O'Connor, a singer, dancer, and a film actor. We also have Bruno Bettelheim, who's a child psychologist and a writer. We also have Geoffrey N. Housfield, British Nobel Prize-winning inventor of the CAT scan. We also have Ben Gazzara, was a stage film and TV actor. We also have Janet Evans, a U.S. Olympic 4 gold medal winning swimmer. We also have Scott Hamlin, a 4-time world champion and a U.S. gold medal winning figure skater. We also have Charles Boyer, French film actor. Mambila Calathil Menon was an Indian physicist, over 100 papers on cosmic rays and elemental particles. We also have David Soul, the TV film actor of Starsky and Hutch, and he was also a singer. We have Lou Piniella, who's a baseball outfielder, manager, and he guided the Cincinnati Reds to a shocking 4-0 upset of the Oakland A's in the World Series. We also have Ron Guidry, was a baseball pitcher and a Cy Young Award winner. So maybe play you some baseball, yeah. We have Joseph Loons, was a Dutch politician, foreign minister, and a NATO Secretary General. We also have Peter Fraser, Scottish-born New Zealand Prime Minister. Carl Bohm was an Austrian conductor. William Cohen, U.S. Senator of Maine. Roger Tory Peterson, ornithologist and an artist. And we have, taking us out, Rudolf von Alt, an Austrian 19th century realist painter. So we just had a whole gamut of folks who drilled down on the finer aspects of mastery within their trade. So perhaps you can take some inspiration or just get some drive to continue on with whatever you've decided to master and form your own intrinsic language, if you like. All right, hey, do we have everything in here covered? I think we do. Your season is summer. Once again, your sign is Virgo, of the Virgo I period specifically, and your quality and elements is mutable earth. And this has been August 28th, the day of language. That's right. Or breath in notes, in my case. From The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and Joost Elfers. I have an affiliate link for this book if you want to dive in deeper and on your own time, more importantly. But this thing makes a great coffee table book, folks. It just, if you ever have company over and you have a hard time getting that ice broken, this thing is going to break that ice. You could probably even break some literal ice with the weight of it. Or prop up your coffee table if it's got one of them wobbly, really short legs. In any event, hey, more importantly, I just want to once again wish you a happy birthday, okay? For everyone else who joined us, to wish August 28th, folks, a happy birthday. I hope you enjoyed yourself and you join us for your birthday read. And once again, your daily numbers, a 6 and a 2 for an 8. Get out there, let the universe show you your path and just show you how it's with you on it. And then let it line things up for you and start a theme. That's right. Go walk you some dogs or find you some magpies to deliver a message. All right. I hope you enjoyed yourself and take care of yourselves. Happy birthday.